So it's been a while since I've talked about Venezuela due to the fact it's been tied up in a lot of things. But yet this video was inspired by David Quinteri over at the Money GPS. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, I definitely recommend you go do so. He stays up on the global news on a daily basis. But I've done videos in the past about Venezuela. Had a chance to go there years ago, and it's just a country that is near and dear to my heart because I had a great experience there. But apart from what's been happening over the last decade, things have changed. So it's just, something I think we can all learn from in relation to how if governments aren't held accountable into just to maintaining their financial stewardship to the nation as well as the people by making sure that the currency units, which are referred to as the units of accountability in a nutshell, if they're not maintained, this is the type of thing that happens. And it's nothing new. It happens quite frequently. It's just we don't hear about it much here in the United States of America because it's one of the things where, the mainstream news don't want to make it known that these events are happening more frequently or something that's possible and here in the U.S., more importantly. But here's an article here that I thought was very interesting because these notes here are relatively newer. And I'm somewhat of a currency collector, so I don't have these. So I'm going to actually, in a minute, show you how to go ahead and get your couple if you want, just for a currency collector's sake, as well as a reminder of what happens when units of account aren't held accountable by the government and confirmed by the people. But it says this is what it takes to get $1 worth of Venezuelan Bolivars. And this is from a young lady, Patricia Layla, who's actually down in Venezuela now. She's a journalist and she documents things. So I encourage you to go to Twitter, follow her so you can stay in touch with what she has going on. But it's quite interesting. It's a nice lengthy story. She basically recounts the entire day of her need for cash because apparently cash in the form of bolivars are very scarce there. So she basically goes through her whole story as to how she arrived at actually luckily coming up on this current wad of cash in her hands and how she was very surprised because she's had several attempts and have failed all the time. But she said basically she ended up finding a ATM machine because apparently ATMs, because cash is scarce down there because people, as well as the central bank there to kind of help curb inflation, which according to Money GPS, David Quinteri, is up to about 100,000%. So to kind of keep that from really, really going beyond that, they're basically holding cash back in the central bank and not letting cash out into the system, but they're keeping it on their books. So it's one of the things where if inflation will continue to go up because they're using them for business sake for the country, but yet they're not letting the people get their hands on it. But she tells a story here. I'll let you guys read it if you're interested. But yet she ends up finding a ATM in a bank, in a mall, on a different part of town of Venezuela in Caracas. And she actually found a line. And typically she said the lines are usually long when people know that there's cash there. But she said she lucked up and found an ATM on the second floor. And it was about 10 people in line where she was surprised. And she talks about some of the common chit chatter while you're waiting in line. And it always refers back to the price of items and how they're continually going up, followed by some laughs and giggles. But here is an actual tweet that she put out there that was picked up by Bloomberg. And so it just talks more about how problematic it is to have actual cash there because most people aren't able to get it. But yet, here's a last little bit. It says, she nods and hands me a wad of cash. So she's referring to the fact she goes in and she tells the teller at the bank that, hey, I need some cash. And without even asking how much do you need, she just gave them the bare minimum, which happens to be that wad. And so it says, she nods and hands me a wad of cash through the window, 6,000 bolivars consisting of 60 bills of 100 bolivar denomination without even having told her how much I wanted. She said, cash is so worthless here. That amounted to about $1 single. They just assume you want as much as the government allows you to have. So basically, this whole little wad here, and I'll even click on it so you can actually see how interesting. So this was posted, as of last week, but it says, feeling entirely accomplished after having managed to withdraw the equivalent of $1 USD in bolivars today. And so here, this picture is what really just cracks me up. This is just unimaginable. Just here in the United States of America, especially, people can never imagine a time where you would go to your bank or to an ATM and the currency becomes so worthless that you're given a wad and that's the minimum you can receive for that particular day or probably that week or whatever it might be. But it's 60 notes of 100 denomination. Nice, colorful, pretty. Look at them things there. Freshly minted, blue, purple, greens. You got the entire rainbow in those notes, but it's only worth the equivalent of $1. So this is a primary example of the currency, the unit of accountability, not having any relative value because it hasn't been held accountable by the government or the people. The people haven't demanded in a way where they themselves you can't expect your government to do the right thing in a sense, because it's in their best interest to create more of these notes because there's nothing keeping them from doing such. The entire monetary system is based upon bringing notes into existence. And for Venezuela, it's a good example because here we have a current example of what happens when units of account aren't held accountable. And when I say units of account, if you just Google the words units of account, it refers to currency and how, going back to day one, currency in of itself is meant to be a unit of accountability. And prior to 1971, every Federal Reserve note was held accountable in its peg to gold. And so gold itself held the Federal Reserve note accountable, which meant that you couldn't bring more of those pieces of paper into existence without having the equivalent in physical metal in a vault somewhere to hold those pieces of paper accountable. And so here we have an example in Venezuela where they have gold, but it's not pegged or backed or even related to this piece of paper here. So therefore, you can create as many as you want. And I think this is a very good example because according to what Jerome Powell just referenced about doing whatever it takes to keep this expansion going, it's good to say that he himself will now begin doing more of what Venezuela is doing. But yet the difference between the Venezuelan currency and the USD is the fact that Venezuelan currency is only useful for 20 to 30 million people in that country. But the USD, on the other hand, is something that the whole world, for the most part, depends on. And if we have Jerome Powell coming out saying that they will do whatever it takes to keep this expansion going, and then keep in mind that the Federal Reserve note is not being held accountable by anyone in particular. It's not being backed or redeemable or pegged to gold. So it's one of the things where they themselves can then bring more of these units of account or lack of accountability into existence, which ultimately creates more competition amongst currency. Therefore, it's reflected in price. This is just what's happening. I thought I would share this, but more importantly, take it even further. I'm going to share with you this. Here's a couple of the notes that I've collected over the last several years. You know, these right here being the older ones. And so these are the Bolivar Forte. And so these are the initial issuance from about a decade ago, give or take. And so these are expired, no longer in circulation. We got all the currencies, all the denominations here, all the way from 2. Can you imagine 2 Dos Bolivars, 2 Bolivars? This is, tells the story itself. And then we have the highest denomination, which was taken out of circulation, I think 2 years ago at the end of 2017. And then here we have some of the more recent releases. And this is the new issuance of the Forte. And so now the ones I'm about to show you in a second, I'm about to look up to add to my little currency collection here of lack of accountability notes, as I like to call them. But here we have more issuance. This is as hyperinflation really began to kick in. So these same notes here, they basically just added a 0. So where we got the highest denomination note of 100, because of hyperinflation, they added a couple zeros, and all of a sudden it became 100,000 mil Bolivars. So this is like just a little bit of what will happen, that these notes here, whoever I bought these from online, it served them more to sell them to me as a keepsake, as a reminder, as a demonstration piece for you guys. It served them more than to keep them in their own country, because once again, at the time these were issued, they circulated, but once again, they printed more than was needed to them. So I'm about to go on eBay now, show you about some of the newest ones, because I don't have those in my little collection here, and see what they're talking about price-wise. So here, go to eBay app, just type in Venezuela. First thing pops up is currency notes. And so here are some of the pictures of currency notes, of which I have pretty much all of these. And here we have a bundle. Venezuelan Bolivars, you get 10 100,000 notes for $15. And that's a sponsored ad, which means somebody's really looking to move those. But once again, $15 is a come up if you are able to smuggle those things out of the country. And that's why they have more value as far as them being historical pieces / something to profit off of in terms of getting rid of them. But yet here is just another stack of 10. But then if you want to profit off of this hyperinflation, as far as what people are looking to do here on eBay, take them and sell them to people who would be willing to spend a couple dollars for them. So here's the the bill that we just saw in that picture that the young lady withdrew from the ATM machine. And so as of here, it's going for 26 cents and it's 5 days left. And so it's a 2018 100 Bolivar. And this is called the Bolivar Soberano, which is supposed to be the strong Bolivar, which is the most recent issuance of a currency where they just basically knocked off a couple zeros just to better reflect the actual prices in stores. But as you saw from that picture, it takes 60 of these 100 bill notes to actually equate to $1. And so I might just bid on this just to see what happens. So what is this worth to me? I think I'll be willing to go 2. Yeah, we'll see. I'll put in 2 because it's free shipping and handling. I'll confirm that bid, and then we'll see what happens. I'll give it 5 days. But as of now, I'm the highest bidder. So the fact is somebody was willing to bid 35 cents for it. I'll take it. I'll up the ante a little bit for $2. But this is what it's like to have a currency that's not worth anything. It becomes more of a bidding item than actually a store value, which fiat currencies, unfortunately, that aren't held accountable tend not to be a good store value. Once again, this is just what happens when units of account or notes aren't held accountable. Governments tend to print more than is needed. They're inflated away, purchasing power is lost, and then so this is what's happening. But I thought I would take a minute to share with you what's happening. That final article will be very interesting at how she had to go hunting for some of these notes. And so hopefully I win that little bid. I'll let you guys know if I win it. But more importantly, I believe in the next couple of years, you will not be able to basically retain any value in our currency, in the USD. I'm of the belief that our country is not immune to what is happening in Venezuela, as well as various other countries that you guys are all aware of. But it's up to you as an individual to basically hold each note that you possess accountable. You can't expect anyone else to do it for you. So that's why there's always ways of getting your weight up in various forms. So as always, as you guys know, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you about how to get your weight up in a physical form directly with these silver beauties right here. So these right here, I'm sure if people had awareness of the importance of silver, whether it be this silver or any other silver whatsoever, they wouldn't have basically held onto those notes as long as they did. They probably would have got their weight up a lot faster. But once again, I'm assuming there's no one in Venezuela telling them to rethink the Bolivar. But here I am telling you to rethink the dollar just because you never know what's coming in the future. And more importantly, this is just something physical and tangible. But if Maduro really want to make a difference for his people, what remaining gold they do have, the best bet will be to take all that colorful paper and to put it into the actual note itself. Take some gold and put it into the paper. So here I have some cash gold notes, as you guys see here. So this is 0.4 grams of actual physical gold that's infused into this paper. So this is a way that, of which I know people in Venezuela that are a part of the program, but this is a way to get physical in your hands to where you can kind of counteract some of the hyperinflationary effects that will come for sure in an unpegged, unbacked fiat currency that is just all color. And so it's good to say if they wanted to, they could put some gold in this note. But yet, once again, that'll limit them and what they're able to do. So I don't anticipate them doing that. But these are just some options. So definitely you got your physical weight, and then you got your gold infused in paper as all options. So here this is a single gram right here that's still in the wrapper. But this is what's going on. I thought I would take a minute to share with you a little bit of a collection of these notes here. And I'll let you guys know if I get the winning bid for that new Bolivar Soberano 100 Bolivar note. But let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. We'd love to find out your thoughts. Other than that, make sure you take advantage of the opportunity to get your weight up while you can, because once again, these notes will not appreciate in value. They will only decrease and depreciate because, once again, no one's holding them accountable. So other than that, hope all is well.